Okay, so in today's tutorial we're going to have a go at taking some photos of Love Heart Sweets. Now I've seen these before and I think they look really cool if they're done well. In fact, I got the inspiration for this from magazines. Now I mentioned elsewhere on the site about using magazines for inspiration. I'm not the best at original ideas, but it doesn't take much. So I've been subscribing. This is Photography for Beginners and Digital SLR Photography. Now, as I say, I've done a review. I don't think it mentioned this one because I hadn't found it at the time. But this is one that it just says in here about a project idea, and it just shows me a picture in of what the Love Hearts could look like. This is a better one, and there's a whole double spread here on how to take photos of these Love Hearts. And I'll put a larger image in to show you here. But several options that we can do, that we can play with, and the beauty of this is it's dead easy and you can do it with standard kit. In fact, I'm going to be using a 600D camera with the kit lens, the 18-55 lens, and see what we can do. This is no pro kit. It's a very nice new camera, but it's exactly the kind of thing meant for beginners in SLR photography. So we'll have a go at this. A pack of sweets, which I'll be able to eat afterwards. And we'll try it with daylight first of all, and if we don't get any joy with that, we'll have a go at using some strobe lights, which again you can see on this site as a kit there for under £100. So none of this should be out of your reach. This is all totally doable. So let's jump in and have a go. Okay, so we're over here now then. We're in front of the window. So this is just daylight coming in. I've actually got a light on just for doing the video, but that won't be affecting this at all. So what have we got? I have a pack of sweets. In fact, I've got a second one as well. And all I've just done here is take some A4 paper. I've taped it together and I've just blue tacked it. I just found a speaker that was sitting in the cupboard. That could be a DVD box set or anything really, just that it's giving me that curved back. And yeah, I've made up my little studio. So what I'm going to do, I've got some ideas here that I particularly like that I'm going to have a play at. So I'm going to set up my sweets down here, and I tell you what we'll do, I'll set this up and then I'll come back to you. So I've unpacked the sweets and I'm not quite sure how this is going to work yet, so we'll have a bit of a play around. But I think it's time we set the camera up. I'm just going to pop this magazine out of the way for a moment. Okay, so I've got my 600D and I've got an 18-55 lens on here. And we'll see what we do. Now I haven't set anything up. I want you to come along with me as we do this. So I'm turning the camera on. I've set it to manual. And what I want to do is first of all set my aperture as low as possible, which is f4 on this camera. And let me just see what happens when I look through. So that's about as close as I'm going to get to anything here. And when I'm looking through, because I'm in manual, I've got a dial on the back, or at the bottom of the viewfinder, when I'm looking through that, is a little needle that's moving along telling me whether I'm overexposed or underexposed. And so I'm just bringing that back. Let me pop one of these up to decide where I'm focusing. In fact, I can see straight away how I want this to look. Okay, now my exposure here, I'm on ISO 100, I'm on f4, and I have a shutter speed of 200, which sounds pretty perfect to me. and I'm 2/3 of a stop over. So there's 2 little notches over before you get a number 1. And then, so that's where I am. I'm 2 stops over, and I think that might be perfect. And have a look through. Okay, and there's my first photo. So now what I'm going to do is I'm now starting to compose this and actually start laying it out so that I can see sweets in front and behind, because as you can see on this one, I've got too much gap at the front here and it's distracting seeing the other names. So just give me a minute again and we'll have a play at this. That was a bit silly of me, apart from choking on a sweet. I've turned all the sweets over to blank, and I hadn't actually picked one out that I wanted, so I've just had to go through them again and find one that I liked. But I've got one here, well, you'll see in a second what it says. So let's try and place that in about halfway back. Now at the minute they're all laying dead flat, and I'm really not sure how this will come out. I might think it looks a little bit too flat and staged, and I might just want to lay them around a bit, but let's have a try and see what we get. Now this camera's set up at the moment. You'll know that if you click, or hopefully you'll know that if you click your shutter halfway, it will focus. You'll get a little red dot if it's set up, or if it's set up on an auto mode, it will automatically select which area it thinks you should focus on. Now I would always set this on manual so that you can select. I'm getting a little red dot, usually bang in the center, but I have an option on this camera it shows me on here, I can do this manual selection and I can tell it which side where I want it to focus. So because I'm putting my sweet off to the side, I'm moving this over so that my focal point is always going to be on that right spot. So when I look back through here now, and I'm now 1 stop over, that's just the light changing. But I've now got my photo showing me best mate. Okay, now what I'm thinking on this is that there's a lot of, I'm starting to see the white behind it. And actually, what I'm going to do is bring this slightly further forward to me and pop it on here. Because I really want to fill the frame here with sweet, so it looks like I've got just this endless supply. Now we can obviously crop in later. But there we go, that's just brought it forward a space. Now what I want to have a go at is just messing this up a little bit. So I'm just going to stack them a little bit more. Now I've still got them that way up, so that they're all plain apart from the one that I'm on. But I'm trying to make it look a little bit more like they've just been dropped out of the packet. Let's see what that does. There we go. Actually, yes, I'm preferring that. Now I'm going to try a different sweep, because that one the lettering isn't the best on. Chase Me, I don't think. Cool Dude, we'll go Cool Dude. And what are we doing? Let's tilt one this way. You'll possibly be a lot better at this than me. I'm just sort of throwing these around, seeing what we get. Liking that. Okay, let me just try. So I'm on 55mm, or as close as. It's now jumped up to 5.6 because of that. So let me try taking that back. How close can I get? That's about as close as it will focus. Okay, so although I'd set this up on f4, because I've zoomed up to 55, that has automatically changed it for me to 5.6, which is a little bit of a shame. But it's actually, I need to get that zoom in. It doesn't look right if I've got too much space around it. So we're actually shooting these at 5.6. Now I'm underexposed. That light really has dropped. So my camera was set, if you remember, on 200, 5.6 now, because that's forced that, and I'm still on ISO 100. Now I can push this ISO because I'm in good daylight, and it really isn't going to make any difference. In fact, being a bit grainy might be quite nice. And I'm back up, I'm over slightly on that. And actually that looks better. The writing is better on that suite. Let me just lay these around a little bit differently. What I'm going to try in a minute is actually just drop in the packet and it be genuinely random. Now I'm just moving around a bit. You really wouldn't want to be on a tripod doing this. And we're up shooting at 200th of a second, so no problem at all there with lighting. Now I'm now getting right down on the level with the suites. Let's see what happens there. That again, great. That gives me something different. Let's pull a few of these suites around into the foreground. I like that. Right, now let's randomly just pick these up then and kind of drop them back down there. Now actually right on the front here is one that says My Hero, which could work quite nice. And I don't know what these different colours, we haven't seen much of these. For You, that's not particularly exciting. My Angel, Wicked, Dream On, Just Me, Say Yes, Say Yes, All Mine, Best Mate. Oh dear, this is hard. First Love, Spoil Me, Dream Girl, Like You, Be Mine, Try Me, Cool Dude. Should we go Cool Dude again? Right, so we're in a fairly random drop down. This time Cool Dude is sitting. I'm going to tilt it off to the side a bit. Let's drop it in like that. And again, I'm pointing that towards the sun a bit. Yeah, he needs more sweets around him there. I can see that straight away. Cool Dude. Now there was one other shot that I liked in this book where to get everything else out of focus and just this one to be in focus, what they actually did was to stack them up like this. So I'm going to focus down on the top suite here. All of the rest of them are going to be fairly randomly thrown around the base. So I'm now going to shoot straight down on this and let's see what happens. Okay, now my 200, I'll just flick that back to 160, although actually no, let's forget that. Let's take the ISO up to 400 and keep my shutter speed up. I'm now a whole stop over, and that is a little bit too bright. Now at the same time, I'm going to stack these a bit more. I looked a bit too tidy and uniform in there. I hope I got enough sweets here. I really shouldn't have been scoffing, should I? I've got one facing the wrong way. Whoop! Nearly dropped Mike's camera then. Okay, so I liked that. It just had got a bit of a gap below it. And you're getting hypercritical, really. Right, there we go. That's going to be right. So I am on 160. I'm on 5.6. I am in daylight. ISO 400. And I'm focusing straight down on one sweet, and the rest will be out of focus. I think that's good. I'm going to try it at a little bit of an angle. Yeah. And let me try again, just dropping these down. Let me try again, just standing that one up. As you can see, I'm enjoying this a little bit too much. I could just do a tilt. That's a little bit shaded, as you saw, and that's because that's pointing slightly away from the window. Now again, I'm going to adjust my focal spot so I don't have to keep readjusting the camera. It's now pointing over on that left spot. Bless you. Let's try this one. Again, as random as... Try and mix the colours up a bit. And again, in we go. Now let's pop just, there's a little bit of a gap up there. And down. And I'm pleased with that. I'm going to get one of it laying like this again. So now this one is just in the pile. I've got a gap over there. Okay, so you're seeing there's no real science or art to this. It's a lot of just playing around, having some fun with your camera. This would be quite cool to just stick something up on Facebook or a tweet later, just showing what you've done. For me, the most important thing is you're playing with your camera and enjoying it. So there we go. I hope you enjoyed that. I certainly did. It's the kind of thing you can just pick up and have a go with when you've got an hour or so to spare. And think ahead, get a pack of sweets in. Plain paper there was nothing there that you couldn't do. Even the lens and the kit, you know, this is a super camera. I'm a big fan of this Canon 600D, but it's only got its standard kit lens with it. We're not using macro lenses particularly. We haven't got our 50mm lens on here or anything like that. In fact, we shot that at 5.6 aperture. And remember that it's the aperture that makes that difference of the depth of field. So if we'd have been down at 1.8 or something like that, you'd have really blown the background, which would have been awesome. but this has done a super job. So again, no excuses. You don't have to go and buy a £500 lens before you can do this. You can get out and have a go. So I showed you the settings. Please go and have a look on the web page, and you'll see there the images. I'll put them upon a little slideshow gallery to show you all the ones that we've shot. And yeah, sign up and we'll get more of these videos out. I'm going to put a whole stack together from night photography to these kind of things that you can pick up nice and easily. And now for the best part. Thanks very much. See you soon.